Good morning. All right. So this probably be a pretty short one. I can't imagine I'll go super long because I got work to do. I can almost guarantee you I'm going to get a phone call from work, and then let's just see where we go. All right. How's that sound? Okay. Let's just jump into it. So I found out this kind of cool effect to make fire using Moho. It's called liquid shapes, and let's have a little look-see. Hey, Arthur. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Let's talk about liquid shapes if you're interested. I thought it was pretty cool. So, let me see. Entire screen. I don't know. Is this? Let me look at this. Hello, Wagner. How everyone this morning? Thanks for joining. Wah! All right. So I've got this cool, cool effect. So I remember I've been talking really highly about Moho and thinking, oh, it'll never go laggy. I think I've hit a point where it's not playing as smoothly as I was anticipating. It's funny though, because last week when I was using this, it wasn't this choppy, so I don't know what's going on with my computer at the moment. So anyway, let me just solo some of this stuff, or maybe I'll take the characters out so we can see what's going on, because I feel like the characters might be doing it. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's better. Oh, there it is. So I've created this fire shape, which I think is really awesome. So the way that you can do it, there's some tutorials that Moho has put out, which are phenomenal. So I'm not going to really cover what they did in their tutorials. But the way that fire works, if you don't know, or the way that liquid shapes work, is you have a base layer. And so it's essentially whatever shape that you want to have visible. That's your base layer. And then you can create other shapes to it to affect the way that the shape pushes in, or the way that the shape pulls out, or they connect together. And this is just a really cool example of that. So if I select this fire shape here, you can see there are these star shapes. And these star shapes are what is affecting the shape of the fire. And so I have these star shapes rotating. As they rotate, they create these little squiggles in the fire that move upward. And man, it's really cool stuff. It's kind of chugging on me. Oh, there we go. There you go. So you see it moving. So these star shapes are rotating, and I've kind of adjusted the way that they look just to get a different, unique feel as it rotates. Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. So what I'll probably end up doing for this little session is, I don't know, just fine-tuning this scene. I got to get some firewood in there, maybe some other elements that'll make it, I don't know, feel a little bit more inviting, almost like a campsite. Because right now it's just a spot in the middle of the forest that has fire, which is not what I'm going for. But before I start, how was everyone's weekend? Is everyone ready for the week to start? You guys have any cool projects you're working on or anything like that? No? Yeah, feel free to just like comment, share what you're working on, talk about any of that stuff. It's all cool with me. otherwise, let's just get into it. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I did this little lion thing. Let me see if I can find that lion. Here we go. So I was given a piece of artwork from an artist, and the client was like, "Yeah, just throw that artwork, into the scene, and it'll be fine." And the whole time I'm thinking, like, it's just not going to work. If you have characters, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Where would that be? Let's see. Is this, can I play this? All right, so I created this. I created this little intro, and there's so much happening. And the client was just like, "Yeah, just throw this like static lion's head in there." And I don't know, I just couldn't do it. Like, part of me was like, it needs to be moving. There has to be something to this lion that's moving. Otherwise, it's just going to feel strange having this picture just kind of pop into place. So I decided to break down the pieces of the lion and actually animate it. And this is kind of the rig that I came up with. It was just a really quick rig to patchwork some things into place. So I've got this mouth open attached to the jaw. So as I animate the jaw, it opens and closes. And for some reason, his neck is attached to it. I didn't realize that. So that was kind of, it's cool to see this thing come to life when you do it. And then I got this head rotate here, so you can like do that. And I was given the artwork like this, with the mouth, the lion's mouth open. So whenever I close the mouth and then I animate the head, I don't know, it kind of looks weird. That's not quite what a lion's head looks like when the mouth is closed. It looks pretty good like this. But this is really the final pose that I was going for. And then all of these little strands of hair have their own dynamics applied to it. So it flows. Like, I didn't animate any of the hair, that's why I love Moho. You can just create some really cool stuff pretty easily. So all I did was move that head up into place and then open it. Oh yeah, and there is a little head wobble from side to side, just to give it a little more life to it. Anyway, so that's something else I worked on last week. And then going back to this scene, one thing that I haven't figured out perfectly yet with Moho is I create things in Illustrator so that they're all vector. That's just kind of how I work. Moho seems to have a little difficulty importing those layers or even a Illustrator file. So I don't know. I don't know exactly. Victor Perez. Yes, you're talking about the Victor Perez did a tutorial on the liquid shapes. That's exactly where I got it from. So I just went to his tutorial where he shows you how to do this exact example with the fire, where it's these star shapes moving. And I thought it was so brilliant. And the possibilities that they lay out with liquid shapes is pretty crazy. I want to do a deep dive into that process of creating these liquid shapes, because I think that there's some really cool possibilities that you could do in your rigs, or even some effects and elements like that. But oh yeah, back to backgrounds, Illustrator files. I'm not quite sure how to import these properly. Right now, I think I've done PNGs. Let me see. Yeah, PNGs. So I just import a large PNG as opposed to like a vector file, which is a bummer. And I think you lose you lose some of the quality from the Illustrator file when you import it that way. But right now, this is kind of the best way that I can see that it works. Another cool thing that Moho does, and again, forgive me if you guys are all Moho users and you're like, yeah, we've known this for years. I'm just discovering the stuff, so it's pretty cool to me. But I have a camera set up, and if I want to push an element into the background or the foreground, you can do it and it'll scale up for you in size. But if you hold like Alt-Shift, like let's go to the background. If I hold Alt-Shift and I push it back, when I let go, it's gonna snap back to the scale that it was. So it's pushing it back in Z space, but it's not scaling it down in Z space, so you can keep your composition and everything accurate to the final product. And I think that's so cool. So that if I come up here and move the camera around, so that scene is pushed way back. And there's even some focal blur. Was that aperture? No, not aperture. Oh, what's it called? There's blur on the camera. So there's blur in the foreground, blur in the background. And then if I come up here to the side view, you can see all my different layers. And that background element's probably pushed back a little too far. But all in all, that looks really cool. So you see how it scales? It goes from like really small, bigger, bigger, bigger. It's so cool. It's just maintaining that aspect ratio with my original framing. And it does it intuitively. It just knows to do it because I've pushed these buttons. It's so cool. What else? Anything else? Should I just start doing some stuff? As of right now, I don't have any animation on the characters. So I wonder if it's a combination of this fire and the character in there that's making it really chuggy. Yeah, that plays better. Oh, it's still really slow. 6 frames a second. What happened to my perfect Moho? It was working so great. Anyway, I can't complain. This is still so much better than After Effects. The fact that it even plays anything at all when I hit the space bar, I'll take it. So what do I want to do? I have these characters sleeping in the foreground, which I think is pretty cool. It's just a replica of this character here. So I haven't created a new character just yet, but I will. And there's some cool lighting effects happening on them just to match the scene. So I used a color from the scene to put them in shadow, just to blend them in because I don't want them to be a focal point. Yeah, all in all, I'm like super pleased with the way that this scene turned out and the way that the lighting and the framing of the shot, it all feels very, I don't know, like well produced. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn because, you know, anytime that I progress in my abilities, you know, it's always exciting. Because if I was to show you where I started with this, you'd be excited for this final product too, because it looked like garbage when I first started this. Almost everything I do looks like garbage when I first start. But if you polish and tweak and you have the time to actually refine it, it just makes it so much better. Anyway, but even though I like it, the client still has notes. That's always the fun part. You do something you're really proud of, and there's always someone going, yeah, but what about this? But it's good. That collaborative the collaborative approach, that's what makes things better. It really does. So anytime someone pushes me to do something more and be more creative, it only makes it more better. All right, now I'm rambling. Let me just start doing some stuff. I'm going to turn these characters off. Where are you? Maybe I'll turn the foreground off. Maybe I'll turn background off. All right, we're starting to play better. Oh, another thing that I really love, I love the fact that I have access. I have access to these characters right here in this composition. So I can pose them exactly how I want them to be in one composition. Like the ability to do that alone, as opposed to what After Effects, how they function, is just so cool. I can be animating multiple characters in one scene at a time, and they can interact with each other. It's phenomenal. So I'll just turn them back on. Actually, I'll leave them on. I'm just going to turn off the foreground and the background. So this is a scene that I'm working on for my client. I don't have any dialogue just yet. Usually I get some narration. Currently I don't have it. So I'm just kind of winging it, you know, and I'll adjust it later once I get that dialogue in. I have a general idea of what is going to be taking place. So I'm just going to kind of start, you know, picking and choosing my poses and whatnot. So if I come into here and grab my character, I do have some animation right now, but it's just those actions that I've done and I've dropped them in. They don't fit, so I'm going to just delete them and start over. So let's get rid of these. And I think about right here, let's go ahead and do something. I'll have him look up. So he'll probably lean back just a bit, lift his head up, drop his arms down. I've got his little elbow controllers on. Okay, maybe this will, does this rotate? No, that doesn't rotate. This one does. There we go, and then we'll put the head up. We'll turn the head this way, and I'm going to open the eyes. He won't look like that, though. I'll do that, and then he'll look up. And maybe I'll open his mouth a bit. I'll leave it like that. Okay, so he's going to go like this and look up. Do I storyboard my animation or make a quick animatic in my projects? The quick answer is no. I don't do storyboards. If the budget calls for it and I have plenty of time to do a storyboard, I do it. Most of my projects, at least the clients that I've had over the past like 3 or 4 years, it's just such a quick turnaround that we don't have time to do a storyboard. And the projects are so long. So like if it took me a couple days to do a storyboard, that would be a couple days removed from a very already tight deadline. So no, I don't have time to storyboard it. I just kind of like go through it. And I think most of these clients, which is really cool, is that they're very flexible with, they give me a lot of creative freedom, and they say, look, you know what you're doing better than we do. So we trust you. And then when you send it in, we'll give you some notes. And from my experience, that has worked out. I haven't had any scenes where they're like, let's just cut that scene, or this is just not working for me. Most everything that I've done, they're just like, okay, that works. Now, one of the hard parts is I might get a client who's like, hey, do this. And I'll do it. And then they're like, well, it doesn't look right. And I'm like, okay, well, what's wrong with it? Like, I don't know. And the problem is they don't have the verbiage. They don't have the words to describe what they want. They just know it's not what they need. And so it's like this circular thing of like me trying all this stuff. Like, is this what you mean? Like, no. Is this what you mean? No. Is this what you mean? And until we finally get it right. So that's the challenge. And maybe storyboarding might help in that process. But if I take on a client where like, we're doing one project with you, you have 2 months to do it. A storyboard is a necessity, but for these, I have 2 weeks to do it. It's 3, sometimes 4 minutes of animation for those 2 weeks. There's just no time. Sorry to ramble. Quick answer, no, I don't storyboard. I'd love to, but no, I don't. Oh, you know what? I've got some physics happening here. That's why he's bouncing. Actually, that looks good. So you can see what I mean by putting physics on. It has these like weird in-between frames where it's trying to read what's happening, which isn't the actual animation. So like, I really wish this frame rate was a lot quicker. I don't know why it's going so slow today. I don't know if it's my computer or what, but rendering 6 frames a second is not typical for me in Moho. Oh, and you can see his foot's backwards. That's another thing I'm still trying to figure out. How do I guess there's no way to scale the foot in the opposite direction. So I might just need to make a new foot facing the other way. I'm not sure. I've looked up tutorials. Nobody seems to tackle this aspect of it, because I've got a lot going on in this foot rig where there's like rolls and toe bends and all kinds of stuff. I'm just not sure. Oh well, I'm just going to hide the feet for now. Nobody's going to see his feet. You guys came here to see how the sausage is made. Now you're going to see it. All right, that looks pretty good. I thought his hands came down lower, though. What's going on? Let me see these. Let's look at your bone. Is it because I moved this one? Oh, no, this one down here. Oh, everything's on the same frame. Huh. I guess I didn't lower them enough. That's interesting. Oh, it's okay. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I wonder what I'm doing. Where's my brain at? So let's just put these into position. I want him to kind of lower his arms, look up a bit. And then I'll hold pause. Now in this scene, he's talking to God. So if you're staring up to the heavens, you know, what it's really a matter of kind of like, what are you going to be like? Are you going to be in awe? I guess your own personal mindset is going to really make a factor on how you interact with God. So I'll just have them look up and maybe hold for a second or two. And then I'm going to put some keyframes here. And then we'll do another pose. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the hands will come out kind of like, you know, what do you want me to do? Kind of a pose. So I think the torso can rotate out. Maybe he'll rotate in with his hips. We'll put the head back a bit more. And now this arm is going to move into position. Now the fun part is trying to figure out, how do I want this arm to look? Should I rotate kind of up and out? I'm always a fan of more subtle animations. Yeah, you can see it breaks through his leg here. I gotta fix that too. All right, I'm gonna put this here. Here we go. That's looking better. Oops. And maybe we'll scale this forearm in a bit. Let's put this down and this up. I don't know about that. Oh, it's pretty good. Maybe we'll turn his body a little bit. Give him a different posture. Okay, I think he rotates forward a little too much. Maybe the foot will come forward because he's trying to balance himself. If he leans back like this, he'll need a foot forward to keep him from falling over. Looks kind of cool. So we're always just trying to keep the balance here. Maybe I can lower this arm a little bit. How did your wrist get moved? Why is your wrist there? Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll reset that. This one's really out of place. And then maybe we can change the hand shape a bit. Not that one. One of these days, I got to make some more hands. And we'll do that one. That one could work. Oh. So what I'm really doing is I'm just blocking out his movements, and once I get the poses that I like, then I'll go back in and I'll start to do some of the overlapping action and fine tune some of the poses. So yeah, it's just about getting that timing and the posing right. And then maybe after he kind of looks up and has his like question or his big what do you want from me kind of moment, maybe he'll listen here, and then maybe he'll go into a more submissive pose, almost like I'm at your beck and call, whatever you need of me. So that would be, let's say, like right here. I'll add a keyframe. And then here he's going to go to both knees down and maybe his hands down on his legs as well. So we'll go forward. So if I had a foot up, how would I get to my knees? That'd be kind of challenging, wouldn't it? Because he would have to... How would I do that? Let me act it out. So if I'm like this, I'd have to lift my leg up and then go down. So there's going to be a backward movement at first. So it would be something like this, maybe this, and then this foot would come up. Oops, and back. So something like that. Does that make sense? Does that even look right? Oops. What are those keyframes? Will I make a video how to build a rig like this? Yeah, I'll probably have to build or make a video on this. I'm still trying to get a grasp on this myself. It's like I feel like I've learned a lot, but I don't feel like I'm there to teach anyone how to do it just yet, because I still have a lot of questions. So it would be a lot more trial and error in this program for me to figure out exactly the path that I need to go to create a rig like this. Because this rig alone probably took me about 2 weeks of just tinkering with, because I was learning so much about the way that the different shapes work together and how to create actions and dynamics. And the face rig alone was pretty complicated. If I was to do it again now, I probably could get it down to about 2 days doing a rig like this. But yeah, I would need to be more efficient in the program before I could go and teach anyone else how to use it, because the tutorial would probably be a lot of me going, and then you click this button and then, oh, it doesn't work. Well, let me see what happened. Well, why isn't it working? I don't get it. You don't want to watch that. Nobody wants to watch me figuring out how to use a program. But a tutorial will come one day, I promise you. It will come. Unfortunately, just not right now. Not yet. You know, maybe after I get through this one video that I'm working on now for this, maybe I'll be more proficient in it. I'll understand it a lot better. Well, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for the question. That seems to be a common question for sure. Like a lot of people are saying, okay, where's the tutorial? You know, you talk a big game about this program, so show us how to do it. So I got to figure out, how is this foot going to move? I think what I'll do is I got to push this back a little bit. So the hips will come up first. So he'll do this, and then the foot comes. And then as he's rotating forward, the foot's going to slide behind his body. So then he'll rotate like this and maybe straighten up a bit. I don't want that knee to break the ground plane. So yeah, maybe we'll do like this. And by this point, the foot will be behind his body. So I'll move it this way. And I'll rotate it. I might not even rotate it at all, just because, I don't know. I feel like it's going to cause more problems. Oops. So you see you can bend his foot. That's pretty cool. I like that. All right, and then this foot will come up to here. Just like so. Maybe I can rotate it, oops, down a bit. Nope, not that one. Oh, see, what's going on here? Oh, I guess because it's behind his body. Let's rotate it like that. And we'll put it like this. There we go. That's good enough. This little section here is going to be covered up. I found that if you can't figure it out, there's some funky things happening with your rig, just cover it up. Don't show it in the camera. Do a pose like this, you know, like frame your camera from the waist up. All right, let's see how that looks. So if he comes up, the foot comes in. Oh, that's pretty good. So he'll come up, leg comes up. I think the arms will probably come up too. I want it to give it like that, you know, anticipation of the arms coming up, and then they're going to slap down on his legs. Okay, so this arm will come like this. This arm will maybe go, I don't know, where do I want this? I'm definitely going to move. 1 second. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Bye. I'm back. That was, we have a little bit of a storm happening, and we have chickens, and the door to the chicken coop closed, and the chickens are out in the rain. So I'll deal with it later, but it's always something. All right. Oh, yeah, the arms are going to come up. Does After Effects character rigging have any advantages over Moho, or have you fully converted? Love the videos. Thank you, Joe. Sorry. Does After Effects? That's a tough one. They're both different. I think Moho is a more powerful system. You can do much better rigging in Moho. After Effects can accomplish similar things that Moho can. My biggest complaint that I've had over this course of like learning Moho, my biggest complaint with After Effects, and the reason I went to Moho obviously was because in After Effects I couldn't do this. I couldn't just lift his arm up and then see the pose immediately. For me to create a rig like this in After Effects, the lag was so intense that it became impossible to work in, and it honestly sucked 100% of the joy out of animation for me. And it became a dread that for me to come into work every day where my job is doing the thing that I love most, for that to become a dread, I was in a bad place. So obviously I was doing something wrong, and the thing I was doing wrong was After Effects. So I couldn't do it anymore. So the biggest advantage that Moho has over After Effects is it's super quick. It renders very quickly, so you can watch your animation back like instantly. And that was really it. And when I got into Moho and I realized the amount of advanced rigging you can do in Moho, it's just, it's amazing. In my mind, I've fully converted. Realistically, I'm still going to use After Effects. There's no way around it. I've kind of created my career off of After Effects. I have old rigs that old clients need in After Effects. So it's not going to be a clean break. There's still going to be some cross between the two. Oh, yeah, that's another good point. Pre-composing in After Effects, I honestly don't know how I did it for so long, because to have the ability having the ability to animate multiple characters at once, or even just blend between the two, it's ridiculous. Like, it's crazy that you can do this in Moho. Like, all I have to do is just come right here and look, I'm animating this character in the same composition. Now I'm animating this character. It makes the performances, and again, I haven't animated two characters in one scene yet, but in my mind, this makes the performance so much easier. And you can do so much more with characters in the same scene rather than just having them pass in front of each other, like stand side by side and be like, hey, hey. You could do things. You can have it interacting with the scene together. Whereas in order to do that in After Effects, you would have to have built your rigs in the same composition at the same time, which can work, but the problem is you end up with layers, like hundreds and hundreds of layers, because each character has their own layers, and each character has their own bones and not bones, but controllers and rigging systems and all that stuff. This is just a much better program to animate in. So I am very happy. Oh, you're welcome. This is what I'm here for. I've got nothing better to do, well, except talk to you guys. So the only thing I thought After Effects might have over Moho might be expressions. I found the if-then expression to be useful in After Effects to trigger different parts of the rigs. Yeah, I mean, After Effects has expressions which are very useful. I don't know. I know people make plugins for Moho. And there's ways of doing like minor tasks. But I think that might be one of the reasons why After Effects struggles so much to do playbacks in real time, and it struggles to like read your character and move it and all that stuff is because there's so much going on in After Effects. They've basically created this like Swiss Army knife. And the Swiss Army knife is great, but there's probably like 6 or 7 things on that knife that I don't even know how they work. I've never used them before, and I don't use them. The only thing I use on a Swiss Army knife is pretty much the knife, right? So what this program here does is it says you don't need all that other junk because it's just making it big and clunky. You just need that knife to pull out. And that's essentially what Moho does good, is its mindset is purely animation. How can we give you the best tools for animation? Whereas After Effects is, how can we give you the best tools to create effects? And sometimes it's for animation, sometimes it's for film. But yeah, you're right. Expressions, I don't know. I can't speak to every part of Moho just yet because I don't know the program fully. Hopefully I'll be able to answer that question a little bit better in the months to come. But yeah, I would say that most everything After Effects offers, or things that people have created for plugins, Moho does equal to, if not better. So yeah, I don't know. Thanks for the question, Joe. I appreciate it. Sorry if I didn't answer it perfectly. I don't. Expressions were something that I used, but I used for very specific reasons. And I never typically did expressions for things like, once you hit frame this, then this will start. That kind of interactive mindset is not something that I would typically use it for. I would use it more for like frame rates, looping, and then like parenting certain things to other things. So like stroke width or color or even size. But I think what you're talking about is like, you could put an expression on something so that if it rotates a certain amount, then this action will happen because of that, or something thereof to the effect of. I think is what you're talking about. I'm not 100% sure. All right, so where were we? So we got, oh yeah, he's coming down to his knees. So he's going to go suck that leg in, and it breaks the ground plane, but I don't care because you won't see it. I guess what I could do is I could move the toe in because I have the ability to. Oops. Maybe I'll pull that toe in here. Oh gosh. And then right here, it's going to flop back. And maybe the foot will come up higher here. There we go. So it breaks just a little bit here. And if I wanted to, what I could do is come right here to where it breaks and then just rotate this back so it doesn't break. I bet the foot probably looks kind of funky if that leg wasn't there, but that's fine. And I think I want, maybe I'll lift his torso up just a little bit here. So that when he hits here, it'll be like a hard downward hit. There we go. And maybe I'll scale the torso a bit. So he'll scale down here. Oh, it's already got a scale on it. All right, so scale down. And then up here, right before it hits, I'll scale it up. And then right here, I'll scale it back down, just to give it a little bounce to it. Oh yeah, habit expression. If the AE joystick is at a certain point, the right arm goes in front. Oh yeah. And then when it goes behind, in front of the torso. Yeah, like a faux 3D effect. Kind of like joysticks and sliders has their, what do they call them? Switch templates? Yes, switch templates. Yeah, I got what you're saying. I never did that. That's kind of smart. Yeah, switch templates. Yeah, I would. My only problem that I had with switch templates is that whenever I'm making a rig, and then when I'm working on a project, I would end up with a lot of like layers that I didn't need, and so my project would get super full. And then when I would go to reduce my project size, which basically it deletes every file that you're not using. A switch template is something that's only referenced, but it's not actually used in the composition. So my switch templates would always get deleted, and my characters, their arms would just always be in front, and the rig would kind of break. And so that was my only complaint, is that I couldn't reduce my file size or my project size because of the switch template. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the switch templates. But on this one, okay, so this is what's cool with Moho, is that you can animate your layers in your rig. So like if I have my arms in front and I turn the body to the side, all I have to do is animate the layering. I don't have to have multiples and opacities. It just moves. And so as you move your character sideways, you'll see in your file layout, you'll see that your arm goes behind the body. And then as it comes forward, it goes whoop, back up. So you can animate the positioning of your layers. It's genius. It's like, why? Why wouldn't you be able to do that? It makes sense that that's a possibility. So he kind of looks up, then he's going to come back. That leg comes down, and then these hands need to kind of smack down to his legs. Boop, boop. And this will be a different hand. I also feel like I need to mention this rig is not complete. I'm kind of jumping the gun, and I'm getting started on the project before I've fully understood everything about the rig. I still don't have the ability to like turn this hand on to go in front of the leg. I haven't rigged it up to do that yet. To be honest, I'm not even quite sure how to do that. I know you can do it. So what I'll do is just find a hand that works. Maybe that one. I'll just deal with it. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for your questions, by the way. Yeah, you're not burdening me. We're just talking. Yeah, if you have any questions. And again, I'm by no means an authority on the subject. So I probably don't have the perfect answer for everything. I'm just here to have fun. Just happy to be here, guys. All right, so this, let's find out what this hand's going to look like. All right, I guess it's going to be this one. That's fine. So we got to get this hand a little lower, so let's straighten out the arm. And I can even animate this shoulder. So if I put his shoulder down, put that back here, we can animate this up a bit. Feels pretty good. The question is, what's going to happen to his arms? They come up and then down. And when I polish this up and I fine tune it, that timing of the hands hitting is going to change, because anytime you have something with weight that goes up, when it comes down, typically we don't just settle our limbs softly onto the ground. They're not feathers. We let gravity do the work for us because we're lazy. Humans are lazy. So we just let our arms drop to our legs. Same with the feet. Humans are lazy, so we just let our feet fall. That's not lazy. That's being efficient. We are efficient with our muscle usage. I'm like super bummed because I really wish this playback was how I remember it. Because I'm doing 6 frames a second now. This should be at 30 frames a second. I don't understand why it's not. I don't get it. Maybe it's because I have all the dynamics on this character. I don't want to turn them off because then I won't know how awesome it looks. Let's have a look. See. Oh, what? Okay, so that one breaks. Well, actually, that one breaks because I have spring on it. Let's turn that spring off. Let's see if it plays any better. Not really. No, it's still the same. If anyone knows or can explain to me why. Oh, that's right. That's another thing you have to get used to is anything you change on the timeline puts a keyframe. So if I turn dynamics off on frame, what am I on? 304, it's going to put a keyframe there and turn it off. But before it has a keyframe that has it on. So you have to go back to the beginning of your timeline to make sure you do all that, or delete those keyframes. Ay. What do I want to do? Oops. All right, let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to turn them all on. Let's delete these. Let me have a little look, see if these are turned back on. Yes, they are currently on. That's good. That one doesn't have any. Okay. Why are you doing that, Foot? So let's check out this guy's foot, see what's happening. T. So it goes from here to forward, and then it starts moving here. So I do want it to start moving here, but it all has to be like that. Okay, there we go. Oops. Let's just lift this up a bit. I'm going to see if maybe these, even though they're turned off, I'm going to see if this fire is causing it to be slow. There it is. Haha. Okay. Note to self. Using the liquid shapes really slows things down. I don't know if it's because I had some effects on the fire. Actually, let me bring those back and see if I can keep the fire. So I'll keep fire 1. And then I'm going to, these are all references. So this layer here is my fire shape. And then these two are just copies of this one. So they're a reference. And these are basically my glows. So I add different glow effects. Let's see if that, there we go. Cool, so I can keep the fire. It just doesn't have any of the glow effects. I'm glad I figured that out. Okay. Man, I do love that fire though. That looks so cool. But then it stops right here because I don't have it animated. Maybe I'll put more keyframes here. So I'll copy these. And there's a way to loop this. I just had trouble with it. So instead of figuring out how to get that animation to cycle properly, I just copied the keyframes and pasted them. Oh no, we're back to slow again. Oh, now we're back to fast. Okay, cool. So we got him moving. I can actually see what he's doing again. The whole reason I went to Moho was so that I could do this exact thing. Watch my animation playback. Okay. So right here, when he moves backwards to lift his leg up, it feels very clunky. I'm going to see if I can smooth that out a bit. So let's grab this one here. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to animate this one individually. So this body here, which is his main body part, where is it? I'm going to grab this rotation. Where's my rotation for this guy? I can see it right here. Okay, now I'm confused. I always used to be able to grab this layer and adjust the rotation. Am I missing something here? I can see it. It's this yellow one. Oh, maybe because it's not Bezier. So let me change. No, that's not it. I should be able to see it. See, this is exactly why you guys don't want me doing a tutorial yet. This is the exact reason. So you're welcome for not doing a tutorial, because you would not be happy with me. Oh, come on. It's this thing here. This one. Oh, well. Forget it. Maybe I'll just do it by hand. So I want him to rotate forward just a smidge. This is that anticipation. I'm going to put these back to smooth. So he's going to rotate forward just a little bit. And maybe I'll push this forward too. Oh, wait, no. So he comes forward and then back. Because anything with weight usually has a lot of inertia behind it. So let's go ahead and rotate this guy forward a bit. And then he'll come back. I think at this point here, I want you to stay back a bit. And then he'll come forward. Boom. Maybe we'll go forward like this. This is where IK for the arms would really come in useful. So right now the arms are FK. There's a way to do a switch between IK and FK for the limbs. And I would just need to figure out how to set that up. Haven't set it up yet. Oh, well. Okay, so well, guys, I think I would call it a wraps, call it quits. I think I'm just gonna say good day to you, and then keep working on this because it's just boring. This is boring stuff. Maybe next week when I have more direction on the project that I'm working on, I'll be able to have some more exciting stuff to talk about. I really just want to talk about this new liquid shapes, which now we know it's very it's very computer intensive on the CPU, GPU. I'm not really sure what it does. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the liquid shapes and, share what I learned from that experience because it's really cool. Potentially what you could do is just render this out as like a movie file with your transparency and drop that in so that the computer doesn't have to think about it every time it renders. That might be something I do. But yeah, man. Yeah, guys. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you next Monday if you feel like tuning in. I know this one was kind of a flop. Didn't really have a direction. But, you know, it was fun. It was fun getting into this and sharing what I have learned. So let's get back to it. Wait, not yet. Oh, wait. There we go. Thank you, Arthur, for always showing up. Thank you, Joe, for your questions. Thank you, Dan. I'm guessing it's Daniel G. Thank you, guys. Anyway, it was good talking to you guys. Good seeing you this week. Hopefully you'll come by next week, and we'll keep it going. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Shamim. Thanks, Toko. Adios, guys.